I just didn't want to be running late for you. I was trying to be professional and on time, and then I started
Hey,
panicking because I'm like,
hey,
I don't know what to do with the tech.
this show's called "Fucking Around with Porn Stars." I try to keep it as professional as possible, but you know, the show is called "Fucking Around with Porn Stars." So we have got a great guest with us today. She joins us live here in our broadcast, and she is quite the little perv magnet, I will have to say. Uh, she comes to us from our good friend Don Juan DeMarco, or as Patrick Palmer likes to refer to him as Don Juan DeMarco. He rolls his R's and does all sorts of things. I can't do that. But Madison Mars is with us today. Is that how you pronounce the
Marxxx.
last name?
Madison Marxxx.
Marxxx. Like wrestling marks, like porn marks, like
Sure. Like XXX, like X marks the spot.
there
Madison's
you
the place
go.
for it and
That
all that.
works. That fucking works, kids. She, of course, is one of the many folks that is nominated for the ASN Awards 2026 Best Published BBW Model, which is those ASN Awards are quite interesting.
That came out of nowhere.
All the behind the scenes that I know about those. Uh, those are interesting, but we will get to it a little bit later on with Madison. So Madison, how in the world did you start in the adult business?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I would say that I've just always been a horny person my whole life to start with, right?
That
That's
is
kind of where
awesome.
it's kind of where it branches from.
That is
Um,
awesome.
but beyond that, when I was 24, 25, let me start. I grew up in Oregon in a really small town where there wasn't a lot of diversity, there wasn't a lot of ethnicity, and as a bigger girl, I didn't get the I didn't get these guys that were proud to be with me. They were embarrassed of me. They were white guys, and it's not a race thing, but it
Oh,
kind of, So there was a lot of white people, and they just weren't proud to be with me. I felt like I was always hidden. I felt like everybody was always ashamed to be with me. They're like, "You're really pretty, but I don't want my friends to know," that kind of thing.
that's
Growing up as a
amazing.
kid, like kept on the DL. So I grew up very self-conscious, very afraid to show my body, afraid to go to the pool in a swimsuit and that kind of a thing,
Oh
always
yeah.
hiding my body. And then I moved to Vegas when I was 24, 25 years old. I was married at the time when we got separated. He moved to Vegas because his family lived there. And about 3 or 4 months later, I decided to move out there and try to work things out. And when I got out there, I was in this mecca of people who loved me for my body. And I had never experienced being in that kind of an environment where I got the amount of attention I got for being a BBW. I didn't even know what a BBW was. I didn't know that there was like a world where people loved them, adored them, fantasized about them, all those kinds of things. I had no idea. And so when I moved into Vegas, I would go down to the strip and I would get groped walking up an escalator or something
That is awesome.
through a casino. And I'm like, what is happening? Why am I getting all this attention? And then someone approached me. I actually worked in banking at the time. And a client of the bank, approached me and said, "You should be a BBW escort for my company because you're gorgeous. And there's a lot of people that want BBWs and they don't always look like the total package with hair and makeup and cute outfits and put together." And he was like, "You would make so much money doing it. You would make a killing." And I was like, I could never, because I was very afraid of the whole idea of it. But I thought about it. I really did. I thought about it. I even wrote out an email to him to respond. And then I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But I was still married at the time and trying to work out my relationship. Right. So didn't do it, but then decided I want to be a BBW model. I want to embrace this. I love that I'm getting all this attention for my body the way that I am. So I reached out to bigcuties.com because back then we didn't have apps on our phones where we could just build these platforms and make ourselves famous overnight, right? It wasn't like it is now. So this was back, I'm 42 now. So this was back in 2007. Um, and I was 24 years old. So I reached out to bigcuties.com. I said to them, hey, I sent them pictures and stuff. I said, I'm really interested in your website. It was a no smut site. So I thought that was a good place to get started. and they were interested, and they sent me a contract and told me to start taking portfolio like pictures for portfolio, videos, and give me like a set of the amount they needed and all that. And they were going to buy them from me and see how it goes, and then I was going to have a subscription site with them. And so I went a whole summer, and my ex-husband, he had started building my portfolio with me, taking all these pictures and videos. And we would wait till pools and stuff would shut down at hotels and go bribe them to let us in to take pictures in the waterfalls and shit.
That
Like,
is
I was
awesome.
doing everything I could to get the best content I could because I just wanted to be, I wanted to do it. I was so excited about it. And at the very last minute, when I was going to fax that contract back, he pulled the plug on it. He was like, I don't want to be married to someone who's naked on the internet. And I was like, what the fuck? Why did you spend all this time helping me take all these pictures and videos? And then I ended up getting divorced from him a few years later, and ended up getting pregnant a couple years after that, and just thought, I can't do any of this right now. I need to like focus on being a mom and raise this kid and be a good example. And now that kid is almost 11. And I just thought, before I get any older, I want to do this. This is something I've always wanted. I've always put it on hold. I picked out the name Madison Marxxx 20 years ago almost. At the same time I was working with Big Cuties, I had actually been emailing with someone at Bodacious Magazine too about working with them, and sent them pictures, and they were interested. And so I remember having a correspondence about locations and where it would be and that kind of thing if I decided to do it. But I didn't get too far into that because that was when my ex-husband was like, no, I don't want you to do this. So pulled the plug on it, and now I'm just in this part where of my life where I just want to live for me. I want to do what I want to do. This is something I've always wanted to do. I love it. I feel like this is the happiest version of myself. I feel like I'm living free. It's exciting. I feel sexy. I feel wanted. I feel loved. And it's one of those things that when you're big your whole life and people don't accept you, when you finally feel accepted, it's like it's almost addictive. I want to do it. I want to be on display. I'm happier and more comfortable naked in front of the camera than I'm with clothes on. So it's kind of a weird I just feel like the underdog. Like, I've waited so long for this and I'm trying so hard, and I'm coming out the gate strong. I feel like I've got some amazing collabs that I've done already in the last couple of months. I've literally only been doing this for a couple of months. That was my first collab, was with Dante Diggs 2 months ago. I made my X and my OnlyFans the beginning of January, and then just kind of sat on it for a month and a half because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what direction to go. And then I met Dante on X, and 2 days later was in Vegas shooting. And then it's just boom, one thing after another. That opened up doors to Red Bottom Productions. Red Bottom loved it. They brought me out to Florida. And I went to Miami and Orlando and did several, some content out there with Red Bottom. And then I just came back yesterday from Vegas. I was in Vegas shooting again with Dante for another Red Bottom production for Shadows of Trust. It's a series that he's been doing that's starring Dante and different women co-stars for each episode. So I just got back from doing one of those and working with BBW Adventures, VR Fatties.
VR fatties. I love that.
Yes, that was such an amazing experience. Oh my God. Tofu is so
VR.
cool. Tofu and Sadie Special are solid humans. I had such an amazing time working with them.
That's
And they
awesome.
brought all their equipment to the BBW Adventures content house because that's where I was staying for a couple of the days and doing tons of content with them. So they brought their whole setup there and set everything up and filmed the whole thing there. It's amazing.
That is amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. Uh, fantastic, fantastic guest with us today. Madison Marxxx is with us, and she is part of our big show here today on Fucking Around with Porn Stars. And she is amazing, and she joins us here on our program. So, talk to me a little bit about, you mentioned the whole BBW escorting thing. How in the world did that go for you?
Well, I didn't actually do it. It was something that someone presented to me because they came into my place of work. I was a loan officer. I was an assistant manager in a bank. And this guy was a client of the bank. And he would come in regularly and do his banking. And he finally one day, I think, just got up the guts to say, hey, I own an escort service. You should come work with me. And I was like, what? A small town girl from Oregon. I was like, what's an escort? So what do you mean? Like a prostitute? And he was like, no, 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 no. That's not, no, you're just going to go on dates. If there's other stuff that goes on, I don't want to know about it. I'm like, okay, this sounds I was a little nervous about all that. So I didn't venture into that, but that's what opened up my mind to there's people out there who would pay a lot of money to spend time with a BBW or see a BBW. And then I realized the value that I brought to the BBW world, I think, during that time frame, because that was when it opened up my eyes to I'm I'm attractive just the way that I am. I didn't know that I was. I didn't know that I was pretty. Like I was always comparing myself to everybody else that was smaller, thinking I'm not cute enough. But this was the first time that I ever had this realization that I was beautiful, just how I was. So, becoming a BBW model was where I decided to go with it instead of escorting and that kind of thing. I didn't want to do it. I was scared to. The money sounded amazing, honestly. It was very tempting, but I was afraid to. So I went into the BBW modeling side instead. But I love to make adult content and porn and stuff like that too, because I love sex. And that's what's one of those things that I've always hidden. It's always been something that I was actually a pastor's daughter too. Grew up in church. And so it was something that I was always shamed for. But I never had issues with drugs and alcohol and stuff. I always had, um, my thing was always sex. I always loved sex. So it was something that I think that was my addiction versus drugs and alcohol. How some people lean on that when they're stressed out or whatever, it gives them that fill, that adrenaline rush, or and the more exciting it is, the more of the adrenaline rush that I get. I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie too. So I think the excitement of having sex on camera also adds to that element for me. So here we are. I'm excited.
We have got Madison Marxxx with us today. So let's talk about this ASN nomination. Where were you when you got the word that this was happening?
I was actually at the BBW Adventures house hanging out with Big Big Cherry. I was sitting on her couch and we were talking about my shoots. I had just gotten their hair and makeup ready and we were getting ready talking about our plan for the next few days and all the different shoots we were going to do. And I was saying to her how I was having this surreal moment the night before I was driving through Vegas in my rental car and realizing that I had come full circle from 2 decades ago when I was living in Vegas and wanted to do this and didn't. And now I'm doing it 20 years later. And I never would have imagined that I'd be in the position that I am working with the people that I've had the opportunity to work with already, like BBW Adventures and Big Big Cherry and Dante Diggs and Red Bottom Productions. And while I was telling her, I can't believe I have this opportunity. Thank you so much. I mean, you're award nominated. You're an award winning porn star. And she was like, "What do you mean? You're award nominated too?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. What are you talking about?" I was like, "I've only been doing this for 2 months. Why would I be award nominated?" She's like, "Yes, you are. I just saw you on a list the other day." And I was like, "No." No, that's someone else. I was like, there's another girl named Maddie something I saw. I was like, that's going to confuse people because I'm Madison and she's Maddie, but people have already been calling me Maddie as like a nickname on social media. So that's going to confuse people. And she goes, no, I'm pretty sure it said Madison Marxxx. I read it. And I was like, where? Show me. So she literally had to pull up the ASN website and show me on her phone. And I was just like, what? How is that even possible? Like I've only been doing this for 2 months, but I've grown my platform from zero to 6,000, over 6,000 in the last couple of months, just since I started collabing. And so someone out there voted for me and put me on the nominations, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I'm floored by it. I'm very humbled by it. I could never imagine in a million years that I would already have any kind of a nomination at this point. So blows my mind.
Well, you will at some point get all sorts of hate from the mean girls because that's always how it happens.
I'm already
Uh,
getting it. I'm getting it already from guys, even like guys that I've met that that want to collab or things like that. That've kind of dropped in my DMs that I've tried to like get to know as friends and that kind of thing to see if there's a collab chemistry. And they're already like, "Oh, you're gonna be too big to want to work with me now." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no! I have no idea like how this even happened. Please, like I don't." I'm just here hanging out, having a good time, and I worked my ass off for this. I know it's only been a couple of months since I started this, but this has been 20 years in the fucking making.
yeah. Well, it is amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. She joins us live here on Fucking Around with Porn Stars, and of course you can find us on xbiz.tv, of course, BitChute, Clout Hub, Rumble, all the various places. So you've just got, a lot of these shoots under your belt.
Yeah.
Where do you see things going for you over the next
Well,
couple
my
of years?
goal is to see the modeling part, the hair, the makeup, the sex on camera, all those things I'm great at, but I'm still learning the editing part and trying to get everything posted on different platforms. I'm literally still opening up platforms and trying to get everything up and going up off the ground. So my goal is to be completely, doing this full time and making this my full time income, my full time job, and going full speed ahead with it. That's the goal. That's the dream for me. I want to create my own little Madison Marxxx empire. I want swag. I want merch. I want everybody to know who it is who's in the BBW world. And not in a bad way, not in like a conceited, I want all the attention kind of way. It's just that I've always wanted this. I've worked very hard for this and I feel like I can have it if I want it. So why not?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we have got a great guest with us today. She joins us live here on our big broadcast. Now, you've had the opportunity to work with Dante Diggs, which Dante is
Yeah.
amazing. I
Twice
love
now.
that guy. What was this like, and what'd you learn from that experience?
Oh my God, so much. I can't even tell you how much. I mean, I met him on X, how this all happened. I was actually in Salt Lake City working that day, for my regular job. And I was headed into Planet Fitness and I got an alert on my phone. I looked down, it said Dante Diggs started following you. And I was like, what? Why would he be following me? I had like 60 followers at the time. I had just started the X and all of that, like a month and a half prior, but had barely posted anything. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he just reposted a picture of me bent over in the shower that I had taken that morning and posted. He reposted it. And then all of a sudden, he followed me. So I was like, I can DM him. So I sent him a DM and I was like, oh my gosh, who do I owe the pleasure? This is crazy. Why would, And he responded like, hey, everybody's got to start somewhere. How's it going? How are you today? It was just like a normal person. And I was like, oh my God, he's so down to earth. And by the next day, we were video chatting and making plans for me to go to Vegas and do my first collab with him. He literally just he doesn't want to mentor people. He's reminded me that because he's too busy running his own empire, but he has kind of like taken me under his wing, so to speak, a bit because he helped me get started. He kind of helped launch me into everything. And then got me connected to Red Bottom. But working with him the first time back in the middle of February, we just did a one-on-one collab. It wasn't technically a Red Bottom production at that point. It was setting up 3 or 4 different cameras and we did it all ourselves. He did it all and showed me everything from like how to angle things to making sure everything is the lighting is right. He has all this amazing lighting that's already set up at his own
Yep.
house, content
Yep.
house. So it's legit. And so we went, he showed me how it's not like real sex. It's like, it's behind the scenes. You're stopping, you're going, you make sure the angles are right and all of this, and then you're editing and splicing and putting things together. I mean, he showed me that part all the way down to what editing software he uses. And so I felt so privileged to be sitting in his presence and learning all this from someone who was so far ahead of me in the game. I just couldn't even, I can't even express my gratitude for that, first off. And then going from that, becoming friends with him. I mean, we text, we talk, we video chat, we're friends now, and he connected me with Red Bottom and I've gone to Florida and worked with Red Bottom. And then this last time I was out in Vegas, Red Bottom decided, hey, let's send a videographer and make this one of our episodes of the Shadows of Trust series that he's been doing with Dante, which is I don't know if you know anything about that. It's kind of based around Mr. Red Bottom has all these different women in different cities, and Dante's been going around fucking them all. And so he's now got like a hit out on him. He's got a hit out on him in our episode, and I come to warn him that he's got a hit out on him because he's been fucking all his girls. And so I'm like, well, if you're gonna die anyway, let's do it real quick too. Like, take me too.
That's awesome.
So that's the whole basis of our shoot, was just another episode of that. And sex, anal, blowjobs, all the fun stuff. So had an amazing shoot with him. And that was my first time having a videographer recording me with Dante. And that was an amazing experience having someone that would be there recording everything so we don't have to stop and go and adjust our own cameras and all that stuff. So that was a great experience. And then I went from that shoot right into all the rest of the week was all being videographers. I haven't had to record myself at all this week. So that was just a fun experience to learn all of the behind the scenes stuff, and to be part of it with someone who has such a huge following and such a great reputation in the industry. I feel super privileged, honestly. I can't even express my gratitude to Red Bottom Productions, Dante Diggs, and everybody else that I worked with this past week in Vegas with VR Fatties, um, you know, BBW Adventures, Big Cherry, Mr. Big D. I worked with him and did a BBW Adventures collab this last Friday as well. So
That's amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. She joins us live. Madison Marxxx is with us. She is absolutely, absolutely amazing, and she joins us today here on our big program. So, you mentioned earlier working with Red Bottom Productions, which I love those guys.
they're great
What
people.
what they do over there is absolutely amazing. What makes that group stand out for you, and how have they helped elevate your career so far?
Honestly, I don't know if they'd even want me to express this, but I think it's the personal interest that I feel like they've taken in me just as like I feel like they have kind of been holding my hand along the way and kind of like, hey, when people reach out to me for collabs, I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. So I kind of run it by them. I'm like, is this someone I should collab with? And they're like, hey, yeah, they're an amazing person. You should work with them. They've been giving me a little bit of guidance here and there and saying, um, all of the things that need to happen to get me from A to B when I don't know what to do, when I'm trying to negotiate things and I just don't know where to go in what direction. I have like a phone a friend. It's so nice to be able to reach out to either Red Bottom directly or Dante or someone and say, hey, this opportunity fell in my lap. I don't know what to do with it. And to get some kind of insight as to what that production company is like, or what that, anything at all, to give me some kind of guidance so that I'm making the right steps, because I don't want to make the wrong steps. I realized since entering into this industry that there's a lot of politics behind the scenes that go on that I had no idea about. So having someone who I feel like has taken a personal interest in me and my safety too, because I've heard a lot of things since I've started in the industry that I don't need to repeat, but I feel like having people that are looking out for me has really kept me on the up and up, so that I know that I'm always in good hands, so that I know I'm walking into a safe situation. And I feel like being aligned with a production company who has given me all these opportunities so far, they have my best interest at heart. And I believe that. And I love working with them. They're just really down to earth, amazing people. They're not trying to lead me the wrong direction. And I trust that. So having this opportunity with them, I feel like the doors opened the way that they were supposed to. And I don't think that I would get the same kind of personal attention from any other production company. So I really hope that I get to be one of their signed models at some point, and I'm, one of their girls, one of their Red Bottom girls, because I love working with them.
That's awesome. We've got a great guest with us today. She joins us live here in our broadcast. Madison Marxxx is with us today. She is amazing. We've got her this week here on Fucking Around with Porn Stars. And now you were talking a little bit about earlier, which I just love this name. You were shooting with VR patties, which, by the way, that just makes
Mhm.
me smile like a schoolgirl every single time. Uh, so which is part of the newer wave that they seem to be of the immersive content? What was it like working and stepping onto that kind of a production?
So what's totally different about it is the cameras, obviously. So they have, it almost looks like you're at the eye doctor with those weird little like camera lenses, and it goes over the camera, and you have to be certain distances from it. You can't sway different directions when you're filming because it could make the person watching it feel sick if they're like in a VR headset. So I remember him saying, okay, so you need to focus on this point between the eyes, because if you look at the lenses, you're going to look like you're looking the wrong direction. You have to focus. There's certain areas you need to look in the camera and that kind of thing. What was really cool is how I know it's going to be immersive when they put on this VR headset. It's going to be like the most live they can actually be with me without actually touching me in person. They're going to be able to feel like they're reaching out and touching me and seeing me up close and that kind of thing. And how cool is that? Like, how is that something that anybody wouldn't want to do if they're in this industry, and being offered an opportunity like that? I just think that's cutting edge technology. It's so freaking cool. Um, the whole set, the whole experience was super comfortable. They were really great people to work with. I never felt uncomfortable at any point physically, you know, from like positioning to actually like being naked in front of people and shooting. They make you feel very comfortable. Having that experience with people who are so experienced, and the feedback that they gave me, that they loved working with me. They were actually talking about, they have another company that they're friends with that does XXX virtual reality, because there's a safe for work virtual reality, but you still wear like your pasties, you
Oh
can
yeah.
still show your butt and stuff like that, but you're just not supposed to show the crotch and the nipples and that kind of thing, you know. But you're still, I was still doing riding positions like reverse cowgirl, so they can experience the bouncing and all of that, and you know, with pasties on and that kind of thing. So it's as naked and as realistic as it can get before you get into like the actual XXX content. So they said that I did great with the shoot, and they want to refer me to their friends that have the XXX virtual reality business as well. I don't remember the name of that one, but so we'll see what happens with that. I'm excited. I think it'd be awesome to do it again in another, like an actual sex scene. That would be freaking cool.
That's amazing. We have
They'd
got
be
that.
immersed in the squirt.
She is amazing. Madison Marxxx with us here in our program. So you've been known for doing some really creative outside the box content.
Yeah.
You've done what is this? An astronaut themed shoot?
Well, there's a content creator that lives about an hour and a half from me, and everybody else that I've met so far lives really far in different states and everything. And he is actually over the border into Alabama, but it's still only an hour and a half where I live in the Nashville area. So he actually works in tech support for the government, and he doesn't want anyone to know who he is. So he wears this astronaut suit. And whenever we shoot, his face is never showing. And like when we did like safe for work stuff, he puts on this full astronaut suit. And we're gonna have, you know, we have some private content that I've put on like my Telegram and stuff so far. But like he puts out this full astronaut suit, and I thought, how unique and funny is that? Like nobody else does stuff like that. So I want to do things that grab people's attention.
Yeah,
I want to be different.
I get a lot of hell because I like to wear outfits when I shoot porn. I like to wear banana suits. I like to do all sorts of things like that. I get a lot of hell from people because they're like, "Oh, all the stuff." So I'm glad to know that you appreciate the fun stuff. There is a guy, and I gotta find this guy because I don't know. Have you ever seen? Oh, where in the fuck is this guy? There's the clown guy in Vegas, obviously. I'm sure you probably know who I'm talking about. The
Yeah,
guy
yeah. Gibby the clown.
Gibby, yes.
Yeah, it's very
Uh,
famous for the clown content.
yes, there's that guy. And then there is this guy that I've started to notice he's starting to get, I guess, a bigger following where he looks like a fucking mascot, like you would see at the fucking like college football games and shit. And this guy fucks chicks and does porn. It's wild. Uh, if you're into fun stuff, you're gonna have a lot of fun.
I am
Really
really
fun stuff.
into being different, being unique, grabbing people's attention because I'm playful and I'm fun. I'm not just here to just fucking make raunchy porn. Like I love to be a kinky, dirty little slut, of course, but you know, I like to have fun too. I'm playful. I'm like a playful little sex kitten. So I like to bring that element of it doesn't have to be so serious all the time. It can be serious, but I also like to have fun.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's awesome. So, what is next for you? What are some things you're working on?
So this whole last week was a huge week that I've just got under my belt. Moving forward, the next collab that is on my books is the beginning of May. I'm going to be meeting Mr. Sticks in Washington, D.C.
Mr. Sticks. We worked with
Yes.
him at Exotica this last week in Chicago, and
Yeah.
he's a fun guy.
Yeah. So obviously he's friends with Dante and Red Bottom, Dante Diggs and Red Bottom Productions, but he, as all of my content started getting out there and people started seeing it, he was one of them that reached out for a collab early on. It's just been about timing. So I am excited. I get to go shoot with him for a couple of days. He wants to do like some BDSM fetish type stuff. So we'll have a couple of days in DC where I'm shooting with him the 2nd and 3rd of May. And then at some point in May, I don't know the dates of it yet, but Mysterious is doing a BBW battle, like a BBW content battle, and it's supposed to be the end of May in Arizona, but he hasn't set the dates for it yet. So I don't know when it is, but I was interested in going to that. And then I would like to, if I can, there's a BBW boat ride that's in New York in July that I'm interested. It's kind of on my radar to see if I can go to that. And then there's the BBW Bash in Vegas. So as far as events go, and then I'm also considering Exotica, Minnesota. It just depends on everything. you know,
The BBW boat ride thing.
I've never
Uh,
been to any events. I've never been to
well,
any
that
conventions, any
would be
BBW stuff.
as far as an event goes, it would be fun to go and network.
Mhm.
But when we get off the air, I'm going to give you some information.
That's good.
So you need to
I've
be
heard
aware.
I've heard some things. I've heard some good things and I've heard some other things. So it'd be good to hear anything you want to keep going.
Yes, yes.
I love everybody that's
But
kind of taking me on their wing so far in the industry and giving me warning labels of
well,
things. They're like, hey,
I always like to tell everybody everything I possibly can
I
because
love the transparency because
I want more people to do stuff. That's like when we were in Chicago. I was talking to a few people about press releases and things, and they were like, "Well, how does that all work?" And so I fucking explained it to two guys about who you need to email, what you need to send them, all the stuff, because I want more people to do this stuff. I
yeah,
know that there are several people that you know I've worked with in the past where they're like, "No, no, no, we need to no, 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 no. I want more people doing this crap." Because my view on this is that we were all new once. So, you know, let's work together instead of work apart. But
and those are the people that I've been running into that have been giving me opportunities, and that's what I'm just so thankful for. Is everybody has been like, it's like this is the first time I've ever stepped into an industry where I felt like I was greeted with open arms, honestly, where everybody's excited to have me. They want to work with
you
me.
you get a few more award nominations, that will change. But I'll tell you about that off air as well. But before we go and we actually do, a lot of the off air conversations, I wish I could record and put them on here. They're a lot funner than the show. But before we get into that, how do we get in touch with you online and all the various places?
Well, my ex is BBW Madison and Marxxx. That one's with two X's for the actual handle because they wouldn't let me put three. And then same for Instagram. It's BBW Madison Marxxx with two X's. Um, my OnlyFans, the link is right there on my ex. And the link for my ex is also on my Instagram. So whichever platform you find me on, I am on FetLife too. I actually started that before I started everything else, but I'm going to use that for posting stuff too as well because that's just another platform of
Yes,
people who are into the lifestyle.
use FetLife like it's social media.
It
That's
is.
some of the things that I have a few people that I work with that I always
It's
encourage them.
actually a great resource because there's a lot of people who are specifically into lifestyle, obviously, that are on there. So it's a great resource to meet people who do collabs and stuff too, who are other content creators that are on there as well, that are in your area. It kind of shows you what events are coming up, that you could go to and network with people, but then you can also see who lives in your area and I've met other content creators that way. I just haven't worked with any of them from there, but I've met other people on there. So
That is awesome. Well, I appreciate you making time for us today. You can find this program on xbiz.tv, YouTube, various other places, skyhawkafterdarkradio.com, all the various places, iHeartRadio, and Madison, thanks for making as much time for us as you did, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks
Really.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay.